How do you like my new set over here? Is it good?
I'm loving the bottle there.
Yeah, you like the bottle. It's a vase, by the way. It's a vase. And the funny thing is that I just thought that we should reset this, man, because IPOs seem to be going through a reset over here. You know, they're quite strangely just shying away from companies, rather, are shying away from becoming IPOs, even though there was a lot of fanfare that was coming their way in 2025. It's going to be the year of the IPO and stuff like that, and suddenly things have dried up. So I thought maybe it might be a good idea to just discover why, right? And so over to you. Why don't you give us the context for something like this?
Yeah. So last year, around in the third quarter, we saw around 30 IPOs coming up, and this the first quarter of 2025 has shown us just 10 IPOs filing.
Yeah.
So there does seem to be a decline from the companies into last year. I mean, every day there used to be at least 2 to 3 IPOs. It was more of a dilemma where to put your money rather than do I put my money there or not.
Yeah.
Uh, and it was bigger companies like Adani Greens and big names. You saw Swiggy coming up, Zomato coming up, all of these big giants coming up. I think one of the main reasons that IPOs have stopped now, or rather declined now, is because all of these companies that went for an IPO last year did not see the kind of returns that they should have seen, that was expected of them. Rather,
Hmm.
out of the 52 IPOs, around 45 gave less than 5% returns.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and 40 were in negative. So that is one of the reasons that the retail investors, especially in India, have lost faith or have reduced faith in the whole IPO concept, which was again a very new kind of wave that happened in the last year itself.
And I'll give you a bit of a background from where I'm coming from. Like Shein was supposed to have a London-based IPO, but that thing has gotten postponed. So it's not just India. I'm saying that it's across the world. So Shein obviously has ran into a lot of trouble because of the fact that it's environmentally not conscious and stuff like that. And it came across that there were a lot of problems that Donald Trump created for Shein, right? So what were the problems? The problems were related to tariffs and the fact that Shein was dependent. By the way, it was a very smart move that Shein was doing. It used to ship clothes to the US under a certain amount of money, so which allowed them to escape a certain kind of tax in the US. So which meant that the moment Donald Trump changed all of that, Shein's business model itself was ruptured, because it was completely based upon the tax breaks that the US was giving maybe a country like China or Singapore or whatever, and that's something that changed. So the IPO news has kind of shut down, and London Stock Exchange was looking forward to an IPO being like Shein's quality being released from here, because it was losing steam. The stock exchanges also have a bit of a rivalry going with each other, so it was losing a lot of steam to some of the other financial centers of the world. And London is known as the premier financial capital of the world, but it suddenly like kind of lost out because Shein has postponed things. Now I'm wondering whether it was just a reactive mode as to what happened last year in terms of the returns on the IPOs, or is it more like a predictive future move that people don't know what the hell is going to happen, right, in this coming year? What do you think?
I think it was more of reactive, not just for the last year, but because of the US tariffs.
Hmm.
Uh, because US has given tariffs on most of the developing nations, and India being one of the second most expensive economy, right? And London being, I think, third or fourth most expensive stock market
Yeah.
exchange. So these are the markets that took a lot of hit because of these tariffs. Now, as you see, yesterday was a dip in the Indian market, and today Sensex has gone up by around 400 points,
Yeah.
right? So the second day itself, the market has self-corrected. Even though the 2nd of April was supposed to be the day when the tariffs go into the force, right? So we are definitely seeing an uptrend from this reaction that
Hmm.
had happened because of the tariffs. Now, one of the reasons was also that because of the tariffs, the FIIs, the institutional investors, started pulling out of the Indian market.
Yeah.
And the UK market. I'm not sure about the UK market, but I guess because of its expensive nature, they might have been doing that. And markets like China have definitely seen more of an interest by the FIIs. Now, if you see the Taiwanese dollar has gone up, suddenly the yen has gone up,
Yeah.
right? So these markets that were losing faith, public faith, they are the ones who have started gone up. The companies that did, the countries that did not really depend on the US sanctions, US tariffs,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
right? So
Hmm.
could just be that it does seem that the March was sort of like a reactive month
Hmm.
for the companies
Yeah.
who were supposed to go into the IPOs but did not. But if you see that companies like Grow, PhonePe, Lenskart, the big giants in India, they are the ones who have already put in the red herrings with SEBI, right?
Yeah.
So we are going to see a number of great IPOs coming in 2025. And the market valuations are supposed to self correct. The rupee is supposed to go very strong against the dollar from 87 to 85 per dollar, right? So I think all of these statistics, they indicate to a strengthening market segment. March was maybe just reactive month, it seems.
Okay. So while I understand and appreciate all the points that you're making, I am not too sure that people who are going to file for an IPO are going to they look for signals, right? They look for stories from the market, and
Yeah.
I think the current story from the market is all around tariffs and the volatility of all the stock exchanges based upon the tariffs. And I think that what they say is the rising tide raises all boats and all of that. So the best time to go do an IPO is when you see signals around the fact that the tide is rising. I personally am not. I'm just seeing a volatile ocean right now for some time, and even though the rupee might grow stronger, and even though the fundamentals of India's economy might be better off than some of the others, it's quite likely that people who are on the IPO stream might just wait out maybe the whole of this year, or go towards the end of the year like Diwali or something, because it's very clear. It is like a lottery ticket. You go for an IPO and you want to make sure that it is oversubscribed and it is really doing well to start with. Otherwise it just becomes a very sad story later on. What do you think?
So, a point counter to this, even though the foreign investors had pulled out, one
Hmm.
of the what is driving the market today is the domestic investors,
Yes.
especially the domestic retail investors,
Yes.
right? So there is definitely a surge in people to. So earlier, whenever the market used to go down, right, the retail investors started pulling out,
Yeah.
selling stocks themselves. But now I think the retail investors have grown more evolved or more aware of how the market trends should be, and there is a rampant buying going on when the markets go down, which is as it should be for
Yeah.
an intelligent investor, right?
Yeah.
So and secondly, one of the best qualities about Donald Trump is, for other countries, he's very very volatile. So if so right now, obviously for US it makes sense to put in the tariffs, because as we've seen in the last
Yeah.
1 or 2 weeks, their treasury has suddenly gone up. The banks are considering the interest rates, cutting down the interest rates for circulating the economy, right? So but countries like India now are taking a step back from the import duties on the liquor
Yeah.
imported from US, right? So and India and all of these economies are the economies that US really cannot afford to just alienate,
Yes.
especially with the Russian war going on and the peace treaties coming up and all of that stuff. So I don't think that the tariffs are going to continue for very long. Even if they do, we are going to reach some kind of a break-even point that suits all of the economies, that helps the US economy come out of their almost bankruptcy mode, and the developing economies go stronger with the trades with US. And if that happens, then definitely there is the Indian market will definitely see more of a foreign investment coming in. Now, obviously, with companies like Tesla and all, there is a lot of foreign inflow into the Indian market. And now that FPIs have been allowed in India, so I
Okay.
don't think foreign investors are going to just stay away from the developing markets. Won't really help them with it, because US has sort of stagnated,
Yeah.
and there isn't much of a positive flow for the market.
Okay, so now since there was point and counterpoint in this whole thing, and both I can see your perspective completely, I would like us to take a friendly bet. Okay,
Okay.
so choose a potential IPO which has been stalled. Okay, and tell me 2 or 3 months in which it will happen, and let me also go, and then let's see where we stand at the end of it. So go for it.
Okay. Okay. I have two. I think Grow and PhonePe. They
Hmm.
will definitely launch IPOs by maximum June or July.
Okay.
Uh, and they will definitely see an uptrend. Why? I don't know for PhonePe. PhonePe has a very good market share already. So, and people have a lot of faith in
Forget
PhonePe.
forget the uptrend and how they'll do. So leave that aside. When will they go IPO? That's the bet, right? So you're saying, okay, so now I'm going to pinpoint. Choose one of these companies and
Grow.
choose grow. Okay, and which month?
July.
July. See, now this April, May, June, and now you're gone July. Okay, all right. See, then there's no fun, January. I was going to say, when is Diwali this year, by the way?
October, I think. October,
Ah,
November.
okay. So if it's October, then September, October is what I would say. So let's see. Let's see. You're saying July. I'm saying September. Not too much into it, but I'm saying towards the end of the year. You're saying as soon as possible, and I would really look forward to. I hope that for India's sake, that you know what you're saying comes true. But let's see. Let's see.
Let's say it actually makes sense for the Diwali timeline,
Hmm.
because there would definitely be an uptrend at
The
that
rising tide thing, right? So
rising tide.
I
Yeah.
don't know,
Let's
man.
see. Let's
I'm
see.
just, as two outsiders to the IPO market, we are making some illogical, senseless comments. So I hope that some of you see some sense into whatever Janavi and I are saying. And
This
on
is
that
like that
note,
typical. This is like that typical chai sutta
yeah,
conversation.
absolutely, absolutely. But we are allowed to have one of these in a while on LinkedIn, I suppose. One of these in a while. Folks will come back to regular programming from from the next time. And on that happy note, let's say bye to everybody. Get on with your jobs, people.